But it is good to have each one of you here tonight. And as we begin here this evening, Gospel Reset is the name of our study. We're basically right about in the middle of it. We're not exactly sure. There may be up to 3 more weeks, or it may just be 2. We're not sure. And so we ask that everyone please just take notice of that. But what this series is basically about is it's trying to bring Christians up to date with how non-Christians, how they're thinking, and why sometimes it seems like when we're talking about Jesus, they're looking at us like we're speaking another language. And so we're hoping that maybe through this study that we will be able to orient ourselves to a point where we can be more sensitive to the lost than maybe we have been. And so as we start tonight, I just want to kind of refresh you on where we have been. This study is to make us more aware of a world that does not have at least some sort of familiarity with Jesus and the Word of God. We need to be aware of the reasons why we need to get into the history of God and creation. And as a starting point, if I could call your attention back to the book of Acts chapter 2 and the book of Acts chapter 17. Now, the book of Acts chapter 2, we pretty much know. This is where the 120 come out of the upper room, and we know that when they come out, what we know happens is they begin to share the gospel with at least 16 different ethnic groups, nationalities, however you want to call that. And as they come out and begin to share that, Peter then takes a prominent place and begins to speak to the crowd. And as he begins to speak to the crowd, we know that they take in what he says. And by the end of the day, we read in Acts chapter 2 that over 3,000 people were saved. Now, if you consider 120 already and 3,000, all right, the church started out with 3,120 people. And that is amazing. That is amazing. What did Peter get up and preach? He got up and preached Jesus crucified and risen again. We find the Apostle Paul in Acts chapter 17 in the city of Athens. And as he is in the city of Athens, he does what he normally does. He goes to the synagogue in a city, to a local place where everybody gathers, and he begins to talk to people about Jesus. Well, he does this in Athens, and as he does this in Athens, he basically is met, and I'm going to just read it to you. I'm just going to read it to you. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was deeply troubled by all the idols he saw everywhere in the city. He went to the synagogue to reason with the Jews and the God-fearing Gentiles and spoke daily in the public area to all who happened to be there. He also had a debate with some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers. When he told them about Jesus and his resurrection, they said, "What's this babbler trying to say with these strange ideas he's picked up?" Others said, "He seems to be preaching about some kind of foreign god." Basically, what they were looking at the Apostle Paul and saying was, you have lost your mind and you must be crazy. They didn't have a clue what he was talking about. If we jump on down to verse 22, I want you to notice how the Apostle Paul changes his tactics. So Paul, standing before the council, addressed them as follows. Men of Athens, I have noticed you are very religious in every way. For as I was walking along and I saw your many shrines, and one of your altars had this inscription on it: to an unknown God. This God whom you worship without knowing is the one I'm telling you about. Please notice where the Apostle Paul starts. He is the God who made the world and everything in it. Since he is the Lord of heaven and earth, he doesn't live in man-made temples, and human hands can't serve his needs. For he has no needs. He himself gives life and breath to everything, and he satisfies every need. From one man he created all the nations throughout the whole earth. He decided beforehand when they should rise and fall, and he determined their boundaries. His purpose was for the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and exist. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. And since this is true, we shouldn't think of God as an idol designed by craftsmen from gold or silver or stone. And I'll stop right there. Did you catch how the Apostle Paul changed tactics? Now, if you would jump with me over to verse 32. When they heard Paul speak about the resurrection of the dead, some laughed in contempt, but others said, we want to hear more about this later. That ended Paul's discussion with them. But some joined him and became believers. Among them were Dionysius, a member of the council, a woman named Damaris, and others with them. That's far from 3,000. You see, the Apostle Paul had to change the message. He didn't change the gospel. He changed where he started. He changed where he started. You see, the Apostle Paul was talking to a bunch of Greeks. And basically what that means is people who have no knowledge of the Word of God, the law of Moses, or Jesus. That's where he started. We are up to this video in our teaching. It is our third video. We're asking that as you see this video, we're asking that you keep in mind what we have shared. We're asking that you listen as we are brought the truth, starting from a different position than where we might never have started before. Check out the video.
We cannot post the video from Gospel Reset on our YouTube channel. However, we have provided a link to the video within the comment section of this Bible study post on Facebook. We invite you to continue the study by watching the video and the closing comments from Pastor Todd, which can also be found in the comment section of this Bible study post on Facebook.